Hello and welcome back to another Eyes on Nature video with the Environmental Learning Centers of Connecticut. My name is Lauren Pryor and today's topic is animal tracking during the wintertime. Now the wintertime offers a great advantage to develop and advance your beginner tracking skills because there's snow. In the snow you can track an animal using the track pattern, so the footsteps over a distance. Whereas if you're just beginning out in the summertime, if the animal is in the mud or the sand or using some dust to leave their tracks, well, as soon as the animal leaves that area, it becomes much harder to track. So take advantage of the wintertime to develop these skills. And you can develop these skills in your backyard, in the park, or when you visit the Barnes Nature Center. But you're always going to want to pack a few essentials before you go. Now these essentials, well, one has to do with clothing, so always dress appropriately for the weather. The next has to do with your guide. You always want to bring a tracking reference guide, and there's loads of resources you can use for which guide you want. Check out your library, check out the internet, check out what can be available to you. There's loads of beginner user-friendly books like the Peterson guides and the Tom Brown guides. But make sure your guide is relevant to the area you're living in, and make sure it has illustrations or pictures of the track so you have something to compare to. It can also have pictures or illustrations of scat, shelters the animal may use, and of course a bit about their natural history. Another item you're going to want to bring on your tracking expedition is some sort of ruler, measuring tape, or an item you can use for scale, like a hat, sunglasses, or a pen, to take a picture with. That way you can measure the size of the track, which is a very important key to identifying what animal it came from, the stride of the track, so the distance between the footprints, and the straddle of the track, the width between the footprints. Those are all important keys to identifying and narrowing down what species the track came from. Now in today's video, we're going to be looking at some tips and tricks to learn to correctly ID common Connecticut mammals that are active during the winter time. Let's look at the parts of a track. Now tracks will have toes, nail marks, and a heel pad. Depending on the type of the track, the number of toes can differ, and the heel lobes can differ, as well as if you see the nails or not. But we are going to bring out our ruler at this point when we see the track pattern. The track pattern is the set of footsteps. You're going to want to measure the stride, and you always go heel to heel or toe to toe. You don't switch back and forth between measuring heel to heel to heel to toe. Pick one and stay consistent. Another trick is where your toes are pointed. Your toes are pointed in the direction of travel. When you find a clear track, there are 4 questions you're going to want to ask yourself. These 4 questions are: how many toes are there? Are there claw marks? What is the overall shape of the track? And what is the size of the track? These are 4 keys to correctly identifying your track. But remember, size is going to be relative depending on if the animal is young or a mature adult. We're going to ask ourselves these 4 questions in the following slides. Starting with the ungulate family, which includes white-tailed deer. You're going to know you're looking at a white-tailed deer track because you're going to find 2 toes. We don't have separate claw marks in this case. Overall, the size of the track can differ depending on the age and sex of the deer, with young females being as small as 1.5 inches to mature bucks being as long as 4 inches. The shape of this track is much like an upside-down heart, with the toes always pointing in the direction of travel. Up next, let's check out the canine family. This includes gray and red foxes, your pet dog, and coyotes. Canine tracks are easily distinguished because of their shape, size, toe pads, and the claw marks. This is a print of a coyote, and we see that it has a nice oval shape. There are 4 toes, and each toe has a distinct nail mark. Remember, foxes are going to be smaller than coyotes, but if you're thinking of a dog, well, it really depends on the breed. That's when you're going to look at whether the track pattern, the footsteps as they go, as if they're deliberate or not. Domestic dogs are all over the place on the trail, where foxes and coyotes are more deliberate in their path. They have a goal in mind. They don't have energy to waste. You're also going to look for a 1 to 2 lobed heel pad ratio. A simple trick is D for dog. We're looking at the canine family. D is the 4th letter of the alphabet. You're looking for 4 toes with claws. Up next, we have the feline family. This includes your bobcat and your domestic house cats here in Connecticut. Remember, we have 4 questions. What is the shape? What is the size? How many toes are there? And are there claws? Felines have very round tracks. We're going to be counting 4 toes. But we will not be seeing claws. Cats retract their claws when they walk, so we do not see nail impressions. We're looking at a 2 to 3 lobed heel pad. Bobcats, of course, will have larger tracks than house cats, but check to see if it's deliberate or not. Bobcats don't have extra energy to spare. Their tracks are very deliberate. They have a goal in mind. A simple trick is to look at the heel pad. If it makes an M shape with 2 lobes on top and 3 lobes on the bottom, you have a feline. If you don't have a clear track, you're going to use track patterns. These are the general footsteps that the animals place down as they're walking or running. Pacers are animals like bears and beavers. Porcupines too. Diagonal walkers include deer, coyotes, bobcats, foxes. Sometimes their footsteps have a direct register where they step in their own footprints, and sometimes they don't. We have bounders, which include mink and otters, and we have gallopers, which are squirrels and rabbits. Squirrels and rabbits have very similar tracks. We're going to see 4 footprints, but the thing is, with our gallopers, is the larger back feet land in front of the smaller front feet. So we can actually tell the direction of travel based off where the bigger footprints are. The back feet point to the direction of travel. So you're going to ask yourself, where does this track start? If it begins and ends at a tree, you're most likely looking at a squirrel. If it doesn't, you're thinking rabbit. Another thing you're going to want to look at is where the front feet align. If the front feet are parallel with each other, you're looking at a squirrel. Rabbits will place their front feet unevenly. As always, thanks for watching our Eyes on Nature video. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow our Facebook page, the Environmental Learning Centers of Connecticut, to stay up to date on all of our upcoming programs.